Hey everybody, this is Jeff Allen, and welcome to I don't know, episode whatever. I don't do we know what number this is?
Right, 85.
Yes, I have a special guest today, a friend that I met on a movie set. That my first movie ever. It was her 800th, I think. She's very experienced. And I first want to introduce my co-host, Miss Carollynn Xavier.
Yeah, we're doing it. Who gave Jeff Allen a podcast? This guy with me. Yeah, it's a dream. We're so excited to have Candace here. So you guys met on what movie?
Well, Candace Kirkpatrick is an actress here in Nashville via New York, right? Yes. Anyway, yeah, we did a movie called My Seven Grandmas. You want to give the premise of the movie?
First of all, hello, everyone. I'm so grateful to be here.
Well, we'll see about that in an hour.
No, that's all.
You might change your mind.
I told my husband, I said, pray for me. I'm like the man in the middle between two stand-up comedians. So let's see how this goes. Anyway, but I had the pleasure, Jeff, and it was not your first movie. You had actually done several movies that I had seen you in before that.
Was it?
Yeah, you were in Into the Spotlight, and you were in another one.
Oh, line. But this is my first major role where I had.
He's the lead male.
Well, I had to actually remember a lot of dialogue.
A lot.
When I went to acting class, I told the instructor, I said, "Don't give me a lot of dialogue. My brain is shot." So I didn't get any big scenes, but yeah.
Well, My Seven Grandmas it's a very funny premise. My mom dies in the wintertime.
That's my favorite premise.
Okay. That's a little scary. She dies in the wintertime in Minnesota but I lived in Minnesota for 2.5 years. So it's freezing cold. It's miserable. And so because of the ice, they could not bury her. So we had the funeral and then we come back in the spring.
And is that true to Minnesota?
Yeah, it is true. It is really true. There's a lot of times when it's so icy, you cannot bury. So we come back to do the burial. But when we come back, my daughter and I, we live in sunny California.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So when we come there to bury him, we see that he's completely fallen apart. Jeff plays my dad, and the house is trash, and he's fallen apart and not paying any bills. And
big stretch for me, isn't it? Because I'm so together.
Has Tammy seen the movie?
Yeah, we sat and watched it. I got what they call a screener.
So she got a peek into why you have to go first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's been the discussion because we get to a certain age, you start talking about, if you go, if I go, and she says,
that's just your romance.
Well,
that's your pillow talk.
Yeah. Well, again, it's old people. Spoken from a 35-year-old. At 35, I was immortal. I was going to live forever. I'm 68. I know I'm not. So, yeah.
Well, the long story short, he finds out the sibling said, somebody's got to stay here and take care of him. And because I'm a professional IT person, I can work from anywhere. So it gets nominated that I stay. My daughter, I'm a single mom, has no desire to leave California for the freezing cold of this small town in Minnesota. So she's plotting and planning what can she do to get back to California. And she volunteers
she's a
library.
She's a reader.
No, she's stacking books on the shelf at the library because she's an avid reader. Yes. And she finds that she's joined this club with a bunch of elderly women. So she's scheming, if I can just get him married off,
to auction him off,
then I can get back to California.
That's so
take it from there.
That's so
anyway.
Great.
Jeff is marvelous in it, and he may not say it, but he has been nominated for Best Male Lead.
Oh, you know what? Every time we go out to eat, he tells the waiters.
Actually, no, I do not. But the funniest thing was that when I found out, I told Tammy, I got the nomination, blah blah blah, and kissing her goodnight, I said, "Any special tingles?" And she goes, "What are you talking about?" And I go, "Well, now that I'm a nominated actor, I thought it would give you a little more of a tingle." And she goes, "No, not really." You go, "Another lie I have been told in this business."
What is the organization that you were nominated? It's like Christian.
It's called ICFF. Well, it just won at Christian Worldview Film Festival, which is a large film festival, which was done by the Kendricks. It won Best Feature Film, the Audience Choice Award, and then it also had a secondary award and third award for gospel presentation.
That's so awesome.
I mean, it's funny, it's heartfelt, it's silly, and I think it hits all the right notes. But now at the end of the month, I'm going down to ICFF, which is the International Christian Film Festival in Orlando, where it's been nominated for 8 awards. So,
Wow.
including Jeff for Best Actor.
Wow.
So,
Way to go, Jeff.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I didn't grow up in the.
I will say this: if I don't win, they're dead to me. One of the stories I like telling on stage, and I don't even know if you even remember, we were doing the cemetery where we were going to
yes.
lay to rest, and we were on like 6 takes, and you came walking over, and I looked at her and I said, I have to work up tears, and a couple of them were over the top, a couple of them, whatever, but I got to work up, I'm burying my wife of 40 whatever years, so I should be emotional about it. Anyway, I leaned over and I said to Candace, I go, I can't bury my dog one more time.
And I lose it. I am howling.
Yeah, she says, is that what you're using? And I go, yeah, I just look at his little gray face and I just get choked up. So we're ready to do like take 7. They're getting ready to slap the clapper. And anyway, she leans over and goes, woof. So I told him, I said, I hope you got it in 6 because I'm not... I can't use the dog now, and I'm not burying one of my children. So that would really bring me over the top.
Yeah.
So, but that was funny.
Oh, that's funny. I mean, there's so many methods if you train in acting. There's so many schools of thought. And there is this one as if that's what he was using. Sometimes they say, if you haven't dealt with it, whatever it is, this emotional trauma, whatever, don't touch it. If it's going to like unleash, you're going to be weeping there for hours or whatever.
Kate was really...
yeah, but that I'll talk about that later off camera.
Oh.
But anyway.
Off camera.
Yes. But it's, for me, though, I just put myself in the setting. So I'm like, if you put that picture of that mom, of our mom, next to the casket, I'm okay. I don't, So it was just so fun when he said, I don't think I can bear it. Just to kill.
What's really sad is I know Blake, and I couldn't bury Blake either.
I know. I just took him to the dump today. That's his favorite thing. Yes, he was alive. When I left, he was alive. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so you said like methods of acting. I don't know anything about the acting world. I accidentally became a comedian. So did you always want to be an actress? How did it?
Yes, but I don't think you accidentally became a comedian. I think before the foundation of the world, God knew that. That's part of your story. So I'm just saying that.
Oh,
but sweet. Jeff, I don't even think you know any of my story. My parents divorced when I was 4 years old. And
this is in where?
This is Florida.
Florida. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, you're from Florida?
I am.
You're so nice. They have nice people in Florida.
Yes, I do. I've been to
There are
Florida.
a lot of nice people.
I've never met any nice people in Florida.
There's because there's a lot of transplants there for the
it's the northern
that comes down there. But the Floridians are very nice.
I'm not saying New Yorkers are a little testy.
Yeah.
But a lot of New Yorkers moved to Florida.
Oh,
a lot of them.
So
New Jersey.
So really, I just met New Yorkers in Florida.
Got it. Most Floridians are nice. Okay. But my parents divorced when I was 4. And when my mom had custody, she worked so many jobs to support 3 kids. So she would drop us off, my brother and I, at a daycare. And there were all these things you could do. You could do different kind of, this was a very advanced daycare on a day.
Must be.
You could do like all kind of sports. There were tons and tons of games, indoor games, outdoor games. There were crafts. I was not a crafty person, so I'm still not. Anyway, but you could do skits and drama. And I said, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And I started doing it. Every time she dropped me off, I looked forward to daycare. Yeah. And so when I went there about 1.5 years because I entered school in 1st grade, didn't go to kindergarten. And I continued doing theater, musicals, throughout my entire elementary, middle school, and high school until I got a scholarship for college.
Really? And then did you go to, the scholarship was for acting, and then what college?
Actually, acting and academics. Just
you are
know this.
I'm sure you're very proud. You have children like in Harvard.
Well, she graduated, but no, she didn't get it from me.
Like rotten spelling stuff?
I could rotten spell. Yes, I could. But just so you know, I was valedictorian of high school, and everybody was smarter than I did. But I was so poor because I said, like, my mom can't pay for anything. So I worked my tail off. I mean, I worked harder than anyone, and that's why I was valedictorian. My mom used to say, you are an educated idiot because you don't know this and know that. You don't know enough, come out of the rain or whatever and all that kind of stuff.
We should unpack that one with the therapist.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's all good. Got lots of peace in it now. But anyway, but I worked my tail off. You know, the people who were, number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, they were so much smarter. I mean, they've gone on to become doctors and lawyers and like aerospace engineers, all that kind of stuff. But I just worked my tail off because I knew, like, I can do that. I can get a scholarship. So I got a scholarship for acting and for academics to go to college. And then I got another one for graduate school. And so I had no debt from college of any kind. And so as soon as I graduated, the day I graduated, I moved immediately to New York City.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, we were talking a little off air, but I want to get, you were trained, Stanislavski.
Wait, what is that?
That's an acting method. Yeah. And then Uda
Hagen.
I love that one.
Stella Adler.
So you did.
And Sandy Meisner.
Now, is the image I have of those people.
Well, I didn't study with them personally.
But the image I have is there's a lot of yelling at you.
Okay, wait. I want to be the audience on this one. It sounds like you guys are ordering fancy food. I don't know what you're talking. Uda Hagen? What is that? It's an acting method. What are the differences? Like, what are they?
That would be a whole podcast. But they came out of Strasbourg and out of the group theater in New York City.
Okay.
And
didn't Marlon Brando come out of that?
Yeah, he was a method actor. Yeah. James Dean.
Marlon Brando.
Oh, you did not say that.
Don't you even.
I was totally worried.
Don't get it. No, just kidding.
But they came out of like, how do you get to the truth of a character? How do you develop a character? How do you embody a character? And there were different thoughts of how you approached them. Some was from outside in. Like a lot of the English acting was you develop their physical manners, the way they would walk, the way they would talk, how they would slouch, or how they would.
Okay, could you give us a little bit of that? Can I answer?
No, but I'm just saying that's what you do. I mean, I'd have to get up and physically demonstrate, but it's like, if you read the script, how do you envision that person? Like,
right.
How would they carry themselves or whatever, like that?
Yeah.
And they would work from the outside, finding those outward mannerisms, and then find towards the inner character.
Did you ever see The Godfather?
Yeah.
With Brando. So he worked on, eventually just stuffed cotton in his teeth. And
that's how
he became, again, externally, and then that just created the internal. Hey everybody, this is Jeff Allen. I'm calling all golfers. We don't care if you can play or not, man. If you can dust off some old clubs and come on out. June 30th, West Haven Golf Club. We are doing a scramble, raising money for the Anti-Predator Project.com and the Williamson County Sheriff's Department Trafficking Division. If trafficking is an issue you care about, this is the chance to raise some money and do some good and get a good round of golf in with your buds, man. Anti-Predator Project.com, West Haven Golf Club, June 30th. Come on. You know you want to come.
But I think he also worked from internally, like James Dean too. There's a very famous story of James Dean. But anyway, internally, it's
not the sausage guy.
Yes. Oh, really?
Yeah. Just
okay.
I saw your eyes light up because I know how much you like breakfast.
I know. Now that she's no longer a vegan,
I was like, the 16 ounce or the 12? Rolled or links? What are we talking to?
The whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. But then there's a way of inward. What motivates this character? And that is like Sandy Meisner. What does this character need at this moment? A good writer is going to give you the obstacles. So you're not thinking about what is my obstacle here. You're thinking, what do I need at this moment to achieve whatever it is I need? And usually you're painted into a corner like, this is the only way I can get it met. And then good writing is going to do all kinds of things to offset that. So that is what creates the tension, the drama, whatever it is. It's like when some other character thwarts what it is you're doing, and you're like, okay, well, then I'll go about it this way. And if you're working from the inside of the character, what is my action? What is my motivation? What do I need from this person or that person?
Right.
Then that propels you in the script.
Right. Okay.
So
that makes more sense. When you learn these things, did it up your stand-up? Because this is brilliant, especially the changing the outward, because sometimes that just how
I don't know what
sells a joke, or just how I'm sure.
What happened for me, that's too detailed. If I'm thinking about that stuff, I'm not able to. But what classes did for me, for my stand-up, was it gave me confidence that I could step out of what was my comfort zone. I used to freeze up trying to act some of my routines out.
Oh.
It was interesting. Just recently, I did a show, and somebody came up to me, and they're a casting person here in Nashville, and said, "I really appreciated how you gave characters life in your stand-up," which basically is Tammy. But I thought, wow, that's kind of neat, coming from someone who casts people and looks for those things. I went to school in high school. When I was in grade school, we were talking about teachers. I didn't do well in school. I really didn't. I would have behavior issues and stuff. I was always in trouble.
You?
I know that's a shit.
You weren't trying to get a scholarship.
I got beat. No, I got beat senseless with 2x4s my entire. Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, I actually took it as a pride. I used to learn. You learn to cushion the blow, and then you pretend to go, how? I was acting as a young child. I wanted the principal to know he really hurt me.
Oh, it was the principal?
Oh, the principal. Gosh, yes. They would just assume the position. You put your hands on the desk. And one guy had a paddle with two hands. And Richard Pryor had a joke where they put drilled holes in it so that the meat of your rear end would go through, through the holes.
Did your school be like that too?
I never saw the principal except.
No, she was an academic. She was a good little girl.
I mean, I was close friends with the principal, but not of that.
We'd have coffee before class started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
oh my
very
God.
different.
You were
so
a dream.
Funny.
You were a dream.
No, I wanted a scholarship.
So funny.
But what I was.
But I had a teacher tell me, I was the sixth grade English teacher, Mrs. Beck. It's funny how you remember the ones that treated you. And she would read. In English class, we would read plays as a class to teach us things. And she came to me one day and said, when you get to high school, it's about 2 or 3 years from now, she goes, go to drama. You have a gift with dialogue. And I went, wow. I mean, again, it's the only compliment I got in 6 years of school. So I remember that. And I went to theater class. And my friends, who were all jocks, I was a jock as well, they mocked me mercilessly for doing it. And I caved to the peer pressure. Then I got to college and I went into radio and television, and I really wanted to go into acting. And they mocked me mercilessly, and I caved to that. So, and when I started stand-up, in the back of my head, I thought, boy, I'd really love to act someday. And not until I hit my 40s did I decide to go to New York. I would take some classes in New York. I didn't really get much out of those. And it wasn't until I turned 60 here. And I told Tammy, where we live in Fairview, I said, this is where artists go to die. I mean, there's nothing here. So I went down and took scene study. Now, when you were taking classes, was it scene study, body movement? Because that was what the New York class I took was all just about body movement.
No, I did everything. Mine, when I had Meissner, that was 2 years, 6 days a week, probably 10 to 12, 14-hour days.
Really?
Yeah.
It was
very
military.
It was very intense, but I did everything. I mean, did stage combat, singing, dancing. It was great.
So you can sing?
Yeah.
Oh, we should have put that in my 7th.
Oh, that's okay.
Could have sang on, our granddaughter, my granddaughter to sleep. Or your old dad.
Definitely my dad. I have some tender scenes with him. I loved them. I thought they read well. Did you think so when you watched it?
Yeah.
I thought they were real, unbelievable. Yeah. And I think that's what I was going to say about acting. You do all of the work beforehand so that when you get on set or stage or on set where it's TV and film, then you let all that go and you just live in the moment, because your acting partner is going to give you something, or whatever is going to change.
This is so funny. I'm like, how do I do that in my marriage? Go on.
Just be live in the moment. It's just like being fully present.
Yeah.
And then you enjoy the ride.
Okay. That's brilliant. And I didn't even realize that there was all those different types of schools of thought, and then the inward and the outward. So you're in New York, you're graduated at this point, debt-free. This podcast is brought to you by Dave Ramsey. You're debt-free.
Debt-free.
And then what happens? Because selfishly, I want to get to this question where it sounds to me like you started when you were young. When I started stand-up, God's worked on my heart. So now I don't need as much attention seeking as I did before. But the idea of going into a room and having people say that you're worthy or not worthy to get this job, to pay your bills and buy groceries, I want to get to the point where, how do you separate out?
Do you know that is the most critical question you could have asked?
In a bad way?
No, because everybody struggles with that. Everybody. And until you finally get a piece like, I know who I am because I know whose I am. And if you find that your worth and your identity are in Him, and you're just living out your calling and your purpose, then that goes away more. But still, I have a prayer closet, and I'm going in, okay, Lord, let me release this. Let me release this and realize that does not determine my worth. I can say this because it happens to me all the time, and I can say it on air. Right? It does happen all the time. A lot of times I will hear back from one of my agents or managers, we love Candace. We absolutely love Candace, but we need a name in that role. Oh. And I'm like, okay, God, you have given me a name. I know I have a name, But if I hear that enough, like, we love Candace, but we need a name. We need an A-lister in that role.
Yeah.
We need to get seats in the seats.
Yeah.
And that always kills me, because A-listers are at one point in the same position you're in.
Yes.
So the question is
the catch-22.
Well, that's it. And
yes.
That was the whole thing in L.A. when I lived out there in the 80s. I go, you need a SAG card. I go, how do I get a SAG card? You get in a movie. How do you get in a movie? You have to have a SAG card.
Yes.
Oh, okay. In other words, do I have to sleep with somebody to get that? Yeah, it's, I'm with you in that my whole life changed after I realized whose I am.
Amen.
Because it isn't connected to the
people
status. And I catch myself today. It's interesting because I've never really of all the sins I have, envy was never really one of them.
Oh, that's good.
And then in the last couple years, I find it creeping in, because I feel like it's stalled. And I say to Tammy, I go, I'm just stuck here. And I would look at peers of my, not even peers, because most guys my age are either retired or, but it would creep in. I'd go, why do they, and holy cow. And then I immediately go, look, I apologize. I don't want you to think for a second that I'm not grateful for what I have.
Yes.
But it's so human that I loved what you said. If you know whose you are, then at least you can catch it.
Then you know who you are.
Because your nature comes in and goes, yes, it does hurt. It does.
Yes, it stings.
Yeah.
And then I'm saying I have to go into my prayer closet, and I go there and I just pour out my heart to the Lord. I'm like, Lord, let me release this. You are my agent. You are my manager. And if you have orchestrated something for me, then it doesn't matter. I'm not in a comparing myself to something. If you have ordained it, is going to come to pass. So let me and then, it says He inhabits the praise of His people. And like you just said, Jeff, like you stop yourself and say, thank you, God. Thank you for what you have done in my life, that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that He did. He designed, He orchestrated. It was not my doing. And then I'm like, either I believe you are sovereign all the time, or you are not sovereign. You can't be sovereign part of the time.
Right, we were talking about that a while back where you go,
when
I got it here. I got it. I'll take it from here. Everything is good. Yeah.
Oh, we talked about it on another podcast. It's like, it's so easy when things are going great to kind of let the faith kind of,
ooze out of you.
Yeah. Or that was God. That was God. And we don't say that when he closes that door. Like, that was God.
The first pilot I did, I was relatively new believer, and I'm telling everybody the right things. If it's God's will, it gets picked up. All of it. And then they tell me we tape in June, July, maybe August. They tell me that they're not picking it up. And 2 days after that phone call, I'm laying in the fetal position in my living room. Why do you hate me? I just wanted 3 years. I just needed the mailbox money.
But it's so
easy to do.
It is so easy. I was doing that. I was working in New York City. I was traveling around the world doing theater, and I was also doing parts in TV and film. And I had a role in a movie that was coming out. My agent was like, yeah, we want to see it. And I liked my role, loved my role. And I did not like, though, the message of the movie. And it was the first time that God had opened my eyes like, oh, your work is not separated from your faith. I mean, it was like ding, 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 because I had thought it was compartmentalized. Here's my faith, and here is my work. And if I took this job, it went against, even though my character didn't, the message of it went against what I believed in.
Yeah.
And God was like really, putting me like, okay, Candace.
To the test.
Yes. And so I said to him, in my arrogance, Jeff, I said to him, God, I should do this. It's a really great room. And then when I get this money, then I can use it to do something that's more honorable to you.
Yeah.
And he quoted to me in 2 Samuel, it says, to obey is better than sacrifice. And he said, in your case, Candace, to obey is better than compromise. I don't want your compromise. I want your obedience.
Yeah.
And that was so hard.
Yeah.
I started looking at everything so different. Even though I've been a Christian since I was 6, I really started seeing, you have called me to this. And it is not for Candace's glory. It is for your own. And so that was a really hard time in my life. I was in the fetal position. I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm surrendering myself to you. And he called me out of the industry. I had just gotten married, started having kids. I was writing and directing for schools and churches. And I said, if you ever bring me back in this, may I understand your will. And so when I started my prayer closet, besides all the people and things that I pray about, on the other side is about, 100 scriptures on how God views work.
Mm-hmm.
And, it says in, I think Ephesians 2:10, that he has created work in advance for you to do. There's so many scriptures on it. And when I saw that those two go hand in hand, his call on my life, his purpose for me, and then I'm walking in that, then it's easier to like, okay, Lord, you close that door. I have to believe that you have a reason and a plan. And that is also part of your plan.
Yeah, it's so hard to accept his will instead of your own. It's like the fires of purification on your soul. It's so hard.
Well, you get tested. I remember we had it's a long story, so I won't go into a whole detail, but we had an issue with somebody asked me to do a job for
the mafia.
For Brentwood Academy at 8 a.m. on Friday. And I said, sure, I'm home. No problem. A friend of mine's wife called me, and a little week later, my manager calls and says, I got you 3 jobs. And I said, what's the problem? It ends on Thursday. And he goes, you can't get back to Nashville in time to do the Brentwood Academy. And I said, well, that doesn't do the Thursday. He goes, no, it's all 3 or none. It was corporate. That's something. So anyway.
He's leaving out that it was like $1 bajillion.
Well, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
It was like $1 bajillion.
But you needed.
Yeah, absolutely. So I called my friend's wife and I said, here's the situation. I said, I can get you, I probably can't get a comic, but I can get a singer. I know a singer here that'll do it. And she said very honestly, she goes, if you were my husband, I'd tell you, take the money. So don't worry about it. We'll get it done. And I said, thank you. And I lost sleep.
Yes.
A couple of nights. So I called my manager And I said, going forward, we have to make it an executive decision today. We either take the money and our word means nothing.
Right.
Or our word is everything and we leave the money alone. And he immediately goes, our word. I go, great. Now, 4 days later, when he goes, well, we got a problem. I go, what? He goes, the ESPYs just called the sports award.
Right, I know
that. It was Vegas and Shadow Mountain Golf Course. It was like God threw everything I ever wanted in my life at my feet. And I said, okay, what's the problem? He goes, you're booked in Economowoc, Wisconsin for a Valentine's banquet. And I go, really? So he tells me what the ESPYs is paying. And we thought with that money, I could actually rent a private jet.
Oh.
That's how bad I wanted to do the job.
Wow.
And we worked, and I never was able to work it out. And I went to Economowoc, and they knew about it because we were trying to get them to move the show time because it was the Central Time to Pacific Time. And I mean, we really tried to work it out. The show wasn't until 10 o'clock in Vegas, 10 p.m. But anyway, we weren't able to work it out. And anyway, Lenny goes, what do you want to do? I said, word, money. He goes, word. I said, great. Tell the ESPYs I can't do it. And never lost a minute's sleep. They were so grateful because they knew when I gave up to do their show. And it was very funny because they wanted Tammy to come because it was a Valentine's thing. And I said, Tammy will not come to Economowoc, Wisconsin. Ocean.
Like shooting a Minnesota.
Right. You try to explain it. We go, I know you guys love your place.
Oh, man.
But yeah, that's it. If you will be tested.
And it will, and as you said, repeatedly tested. Yeah. But I was on a podcast, I don't know, not too long ago, and they asked me about that. Did I regret it? And I said, if I had not walked away when I did, I'm not sure I would have liked the person that I became.
Yeah, it would.
And like you said, you lose sleep over that because I got to stand before His throne, and that's who I answer to.
Well,
people think it's once a year or something, but it's every minute of the day. It's like sobriety. It's 1 minute at a time. And it's like there's continuously like those flying arrows the Bible talks about all the time. And it's like, how do I, one, take each of these thoughts captive, like Paul talks about, and discern what this is, what glorifies God? Because sometimes, like you're saying, it's like, well, of course God wants me to be able to feed my family. And I could do so much with that. Imagine the philanthropist I could be, Lord. Oh my
I could take this money from Satan and I could use it for you.
Glorify you.
Look, first of all,
I mean, we can justify anything here. Yeah. We could.
Right.
But at the end of the day,
small groups I could have with just 7,000 square feet in Brentwood, Lord.
But it says, man looks at the outward appearance. God sees the heart. And that's the thing. He's looking at your heart and he's like, what is it that's motivating this?
Today's podcast is brought to you by my good friend Jacob at Curtis Accounting Solutions. He's done my taxes for years. He's really done a good job actually of keeping me out of jail. So if you want to stay out of jail too, go to curtisaccountingsolutions.com for your free cash flow assessment and put in Proverbs 27:23, and we won't be felons, guys.
So anyway, you are with Angel Studios. You're doing a
oh, I thought you meant Michael or Gabriel.
Series. Oh, no. What's that show you're on?
Vindication. I'm in a faith-based crime drama.
Oh.
It's actually, it was on, long story short, Jared O'Flaherty shot one 23-minute short film.
Okay.
He took it to some festivals, and he was about to upload it. Let's say like tomorrow, upload it to YouTube and be done with it. The last festival he went to, kind of like where you're talking about, in the middle of nowhere, they said, no, I think you should make a series out of that. And he goes, no, I'm making a movie, and I'm going to go make a feature now. And they're like, no, we think you should make a series out of that. So he made one more episode, standalone. So he now has 2 short movies.
So are you like a detective? Tell me what is it about?
Well, it's how you got to Angel.
How it got to Angel.
Yeah.
And how it got to Angel. So he was, when they said, no, make another one. So he made almost like 3 standalone before he became, it's a series. Now he is shooting like into season 5. Okay. but it got picked up by PureFlix.
Oh,
it was on
PureFlix. Yeah.
It's on seasons 1, 2, and 3 are on PureFlix. Then Redeem TV, and then Angel Studios has picked it up, and now seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4 are on Angel Studios.
That's awesome.
And so I'm thankful for it. I play a recurring quirky character, which is funny because normally I played up until then this all happened during the pandemic too. We filmed during the pandemic when we started on it. Normally played very heavy. Like if you need a mom who's lost everything or has a kid struggling with overdosing or something, or just anything bad, that was the character I played. The dregs, whatever she is going through.
I think that's so ironic because you're such a good mom, and this you get to play.
Yeah,
You get
exactly.
to play the trailer. Oh.
Exactly. Which is cool.
Okay, so what?
But then this character, Jared called me in and said, I want to create a character for you to, and I don't want it to just be one episode, kind of recurring. I'm like, really, just twist my arm. Yes, I guess I could do it.
Job security? Go on.
Yes. Well, so unfortunately, my character's not really in it anymore because he has advanced and it's really gone to heavier subject matter.
And they wanted a name.
I wanted a name. Yes.
Yes.
But I think what happened, so my character is in seasons 2 and 3 and in the opening of 4. And, but it's the content has become more serious. I don't think they have any room for the levity of my character, Janet.
We're going to have to pick this out. Everyone else.
Well, it's so funny
It's
because
called Vindication.
Vindication.
It's a very good show.
when I was in LA living in the 80s, I got to see all these character actors at the bar at the Improv.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to somebody, that's the kind of career I would love to have in acting. Where you have that face, everybody goes, and they can't place, you have no name. You're just, but they just, but you work all the time.
And I have friends who are like that.
Yeah, I love that idea. And I was just somewhere. I was at a show and we were doing a meet and greet, and somebody asked me, we were talking about the movie, and I said, do you want to do any acting? And I said, you know what, I have one role, and I would end it. I always wanted to be in a Western. I want to walk out on my porch, squint into the sun, and these people, the bad guys are coming, and I just cock my Winchester and go, get off. Mm-hmm. And then I get riddled with bullets.
Give it.
I'm going to send that to Taylor Sheridan. I said, I want it.
You all heard that here. It will happen.
I want it. I want it so bad. Tammy will tell you, I'm not talking 25 years. I've been saying, I just want to walk on, get off my land.
Well, to be fair, there's been some times with how the world's going, that might just be your life.
Might be my life. I do have a porch.
Get off. You get a porch. Get off my land.
Yeah, we just bought a drone. We're going to keep an eye on the turtle masses.
You have that gate,
Yeah.
Every time I'm at your house, I know you're safe because the gate takes so long to open.
Oh, sure.
And
the police had no trouble hopping it one night because they had a rumor that there was a felon living in our basement. I'm not kidding you. Pound on our door, and I go, holy cow! And then of course we have 2 boxer dogs that are supposed to keep an eye on things. They just kind of looked up. Well, we're dead, And anyway, the sheriff's department had hopped our fence.
Oh my goodness!
And Tammy had said that had our dogs gotten out, they would have shot them in the middle of our yard.
Oh,
that's horrifying.
Well, it is. And they stood out there. We tried to convince them that we had, the only felon was me, and I hadn't gotten caught. So,
did they appreciate your humor? Yes or no?
No, believe me, I've learned that.
Be serious when they're
on the job.
When they keep coming to your house, be serious.
Some lady told me after a show, not recently, her grandmother name is Bomb. So they're at the airport, and the grandchild is going, Bomb!
Oh, no.
Yeah, she goes, it didn't go well. The ears were up, and they're like, oh
my.
Yeah. Who comes up with a name like that? Are you a grandmother yet?
No, praise God.
No.
Oh. You don't want to be a grandmother?
Not yet.
I just want the title of grandmother.
No, not yet.
How old are your kids? Graduated Harvard. And then how many do you have?
How old are they?
3. Okay.
26, 24, 22.
Oh, so every 2 years.
They're still young.
Yeah. Well, my oldest is married.
Yeah.
Yes. She lives in North Carolina. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I always thought I'd retire in North Carolina.
She loves it there. You just keep hoping she'll come home, but they're pretty settled in now. They're buying their first house, so that makes it pretty settled.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
You know what, though? North Carolina people, not nice. And I'm putting the things together. I bet
It's not nice.
Wait, Brent calls them halfbackers because they go to Florida and it's just too much. So then they go halfway back. So
It's the New Yorkers.
Oh.
It's those dang Northerners.
Yeah, Yankees is what we call them. You haven't been to the South long enough.
I guess not.
Yeah, the Yankees.
Yankees.
Well, there's some nice Yankees, too. I lived there for 9 years, so there are some nice ones there, too.
Oh, yeah. They were there from the South working on their acting tours. That's what happened.
But I want to go back to something, Jeff, that you just touched on. You said it for 25 years. It's been a dream of yours to stand on the front porch, and doing a Western and stuff. And I want to talk about this because, we always talk about the crap, the garbage, the junk we have done, and that the Lord redeems it. Right? He does redeem all of the mess.
Oh my gosh, I think I know where this is going, and I'm getting really excited about where this is going. Okay.
But I also believe that he knows those little things that you have said to him alone, like, this is something I would really love, Lord. And he knows your heart's desire. He's giving you those desires, I believe. So anyway, I'm telling this because it ties into vindication, okay? Season 2, episode 5, it's called The Game of Life, okay? And Todd Terry is one of the leads, T.C. Stallings, who was a D1 football player, and then he played in Europe and everything. I mean, he's still in his 40s doing backflips and, built, anyway. So,
Testosterone.
Yes, he's in excellent shape. And so, besides the drama going on, there's also this competing football scene between the two different precincts. And I get the script, and I'm not even at the football game. And I said to Janet, my character, Janet would be there. And he said, yes, I know. She would be there with her clipboard giving instructions. And I said to Jared, no, put me in. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, I love football. Put me in. I play football. He's like, no, she won't be there. And I said, okay, fine. So 1 week before we go to shoot that episode, I'm sitting on my couch. It just rained. And I get a call, and it's Jared, the director. And he said, do you really play football? And I said, yes. I played on an all-male team when I was growing up. And
Really?
Yes. I loved football. And I had a brother a year older than me. So whatever he did, I did. So I didn't own a doll. I did all the tomboy stuff. But God knew that this is something important to me. So Jared says, do you really play? I said, yes. He says, okay, go make me a highlight reel and get it back to me ASAP. It just rained. Call my husband, call a neighbor, and we're out in the back doing all these plays. So I'm throwing, I'm catching, I'm doing, shorts and passes and all kinds of stuff. And I'm running out. You can ask me. I'll send it to you. Send it back to Jared in less than an hour. And he goes, okay, you do play. You know what you're doing. All right. Pray for me. I got to rewrite this script tonight. So he rewrites it. My favorite time of vindication, season 2, episode 5, Game of Life. My character is playing football with these characters. And I'm on the plane flying down there, and I'm thanking God. I'm like, it's a God wink. Like, he's redeemed so much junk in my life. But then he saw that this was something that was important. And what's funny is because months before that episode, somebody was helping me redo my resume, and I had under special skills football. And they said, and this man said, take that off your resume. No one in their right mind is going to ever hire you to play football. Wow. And so when I'm on the plane, I'm thanking God. I'm like, that was between me and God. He knew that, and here I am getting to play that in this episode. So I was thinking, God, you don't only redeem all the junk. You see those desires of our heart, whether it's standing out on the front porch, with a shotgun and then taking the bullets or whatever. So anyway, funny story. Finish this up real quickly. We get there, we're shooting, we're doing all these passes. But he has me playing like a dweeb. And I'm like, I said, Jared, I play. And he goes, Candace, it's Janet playing football, not Candace.
Oh.
So anyway, but there was one little thing that he allowed me to do in there. And I'm like, well, at least let me do that. He goes, okay, I'll give it to you.
I love how you're like, God granted me to be the football player, but I also had to have a little bit of humility.
Exactly.
Because I had to be a dweeb.
Isn't that something?
Oh, yeah.
So I love that story because it just shows you that he does see, he does know, and he does care.
Yeah. Especially, that they made you take it off the wrist.
Yes.
I always wondered, if anybody really, because I've had people, over the years go, you need a better picture. I go, if I'm getting hired because of my picture,
You're doing something wrong.
Something's not right in this business. I mean, most of the work, probably all of the work I got was based on word of mouth and, previous work. So I'm hoping that this little film we did,
My Seven Grandmas.
We don't know yet what platform it'll be out on. People ask all the time. I announce it from the stage, and people will go, when is it? Great question. There's so many different platforms now that things can be out on and released on. And you're used to this. I'm not. I mean,
it's frustrating.
Yeah. Well, I completely forgot I even shot it. And then somebody, then like back, I remember December we started texting. Is this thing going to come out?
Exactly. We're going to see it.
Yeah.
You said it is out on a platform or not?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No,
which frustrates me.
It just went to the festivals.
I've watched the trailer so many times, and it looks so good. And I watched the trailer with my dad, and I was like, "This will be so much fun."
Oh, it's better than the trailer, I think. Do you think so?
Yeah. I again, I'm hypercritical anyway, but my manager will tell me, I don't even ask you how did it go, because it was like we just did a podcast with somebody, and I thought he goes, how'd it go? I go, it was okay. And a friend of mine called me in the middle of it, right? And I tried to hang up on my watch. Apparently I didn't. And when I called him when I got out, he said, man, that was great. You left me on the phone. I couldn't hang up for like 20 minutes. It was like such a great interview. And I thought, what do I know? I don't know anything.
Because it's all that humility you have now, Jeff.
Well, I am humble. I want you to know that. We did talk about that. I wanted to title my book Humility and How I Achieved It. But yeah. So, and then you were talking about Max McLean.
Yes.
Is coming to town. Now, do you know him?
It's funny, as when I first moved to New York City, he was doing one-man shows, the Gospel of Mark, the Book of Acts. And I was just mesmerized, like he would do.
Is this the Screw Tape Letters guy?
Yes, it is.
I want to go to that so bad. I saw the thing on
June
the
15th
sponsorship.
in Nashville. Get tickets.
Yeah, June 15th, Nashville. Mm-hmm. It comes up on my Facebook.
Yeah, we went. Tammy and I went.
Belmont.
It's at Belmont.
June 15th, one of their big theaters there.
Yeah, at the Fisher Center.
Maybe. Where you performed.
I did.
I saw you there.
Yeah.
All right, so Max McLean, you met him, you worked with him.
I've never worked with him.
You've never worked with him?
No, he does solo.
I've just been honored to see him. He has a production company too now. Fellowship. It's FPA.
What is now that you've satisfied your love for football on the big screen, what is your this is between me and God work related?
Something I can really sink my teeth into. Something, where I don't care playing a character, no matter how dark or broken they are, as long as it's a compelling story and you see there is redemption. It can have humor, it can have whatever, all of those in it. But something that just meaty, just.
It's funny to talk about redemption.
Like a challenge.
Yes.
Tammy and I, it's very funny. We'll watch these series, and she's quicker than I am. She'll say after 2 or 3 episodes or halfway into a movie, if there isn't some light coming into this, I'm done. Yeah. And it seems to me, and I made this when I remember when Born Identity came out. I had read all the books, and
brag.
I came home, and told Tam, I said, I think Hollywood is so far removed from what makes us human that they can't even write compelling villains, or they can't write compelling. I didn't care that Jason Bourne got screwed by the CIA. I didn't care. There wasn't a character in the movie I cared about enough.
And that's sad.
Yeah, it is. They used to movie
because you're not rooting for somebody.
Well, that's it. They created evil characters where you'd love to hate. There was emotion watching whatever it was, and it just that redemptive part that rested.
Yes.
And the series we're working on, I said, if we don't make the lead character, who's based on me, somebody you root for, even in all that pain and suffering and all that misery, and all the dirtbag stuff he does.
Right.
If there isn't some part of that where you see in the character that I want him to do well.
Yes, you want to see him succeed.
Messed up again, that whole thing. So that, what you just said was so powerful to me that, and I think Angel is picking up the storytellers that are putting those things.
Yes.
They're in the movies and things.
I wonder if that's what God sees, like you're talking about, like, because we're all made in, like the image of Christ, but it's this idea that, like what you just said, like, oh, I see all of the bad things he's doing, but I see all of the repentance he's wanting.
Right.
And it's like, it's almost like we're watching that. And it's like, he's watching us be like, oh, I screwed all this stuff up. But there's that little part of me that's like, God, please just make me a better person. Like, I'm trying so hard to be better.
Well, that was when Tammy and I would, she didn't see those days I was on the road having rage fits in my hotel room by myself. I used to tell her, it's not you. That was the thing. Everything was because of her. And I said,
felt very personal.
You don't understand this. I'm this way and I don't know why. And I'm going to find out. But that's the stuff that you can make compelling in a series.
Yes.
Is these moments, the characters having his own come to Jesus moments without an audience.
Yes.
It's by himself.
Right.
Which
is true.
It is. It was like...
Which is truth. I mean, it's not like for an audience. It is the truth.
Yeah.
And I think, though, going back to what you said, I was told that when God looks at us, not only does he see his son, Jesus Christ, who covers us, but he sees us fully redeemed. We see people in their trap and in their mess and in their brokenness. Mm-hmm. But he sees them, because he's not limited by time, this chronological time.
Yeah.
And so, but I think, though, going back to something you just said also, was that I never thought of that we are cheering for them. We want to see the redemption. We want to see them succeed, or the victory, or them come out of the mess.
Yeah, you always want to see somebody that is in repentance, that's why BetterHelp books, self-help, everything is booming, because it's like, oh, I want to see somebody that's working on themselves and growing on themselves, not somebody that falls into despair, that has like the emotions of despair, but still has a glimpse of hope.
Right.
Because we have like the glimpse of hope. And if they have a glimpse of hope on TV, then I can have a glimpse of hope or something. Like, it's almost like this weird, like, exchange.
Like, I'm not as messed up as they are.
Well, that's what got me out of AA the first time. I went for about 4 months and went, I'm not even near as bad. I got some more work to do. Yeah.
They can do it. I can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the thing what we learned from Ephesians, it's not us doing it. We can't boast. It's him.
Yeah.
Long story short, I was on a bus in New York City. I told you I was valedictorian, okay? And this is not tooting my own horn. This was because...
She has her ropes, actually, and her speech. She's supposed to do it at the end.
I bring it out, right?
We asked her to put those away before the piece started.
But it was because I was working so hard, because I thought if I do that, then I can get a scholarship, then I can go to school. If I keep working so hard, then people will not know. My parents are divorced. And this is the 10th school I've been to before I reach high school. They won't know it. They'll think I have it all together. I worked so hard. The
10th school?
Yeah.
So you had to smooze with that many principals.
No, didn't smooze with any of the principals, but it was just trying to tell them that I'm okay.
Yeah.
But we were going back and forth between my dad and my mom, my siblings and I. We lived with them for a couple months and I was back with them. So anyway, but when I was in New York City, I told you I was saved when I was 6, but this is why it comes to, I was on a bus, I was going to an audition, and I was working in my church on this book, and I think it was put out by Campus Crusade that my church was using as one of the, not a Sunday school, like a Bible study you could do. Mm-hmm. And I was reading on that passage in Ephesians that we are saved by grace, not by works, so that no man can boast. And the author wrote, if we were saved by our own works, how would we know we had done enough?
Right.
And I just started crying on that bus because I realized that the way I was trying to prove to people in school that I was okay, that if I made valedictorian, I could get a scholarship. If I worked this, I was doing the same thing in my walk with the Lord. Like, look at what I'm doing. I can prove I'm okay and that I deserve to be like, in your graces or whatever, or, I'm a good person or whatever. And it was that it really hit me. And I shut up at this audition, snotty and, all that kind of stuff. Because I was trying it. It was the first time it hit me that it was grace alone. He's like, not because of anything you've done or anything you will ever do.
Well,
it's because of my grace that I am just freely giving to you.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was about 6. I remember the conversation I had. I used to meet with a friend of mine that now pastors a cowboy church in Dallas, just a good old boy. One of those, if he was a country lawyer, it was one of them, well, I just don't understand. And he would just take everything you want. He's that smart. He's got like a PhD. He's got, but he's just a good old boy. Songwriter. Anyway, we would meet once a month or so at Cracker Barrel just to talk. And I was telling him I was involved in some sins that
in traffic. I mouth sins in traffic a lot.
Really, but weighing heavy on me. And I said, I just don't know. And he said, so what you're saying is God's grace isn't sufficient for you. And I didn't realize it. And I never was raised in a church. I was never anywhere near church people. I was an atheist up until I wasn't. So I realized 6 or 7 years into my walk with Christ, I was a legalist. I had put all these restrictions and rules on my own. Nobody put them on me but me.
Right.
And it's like you wonder if that's a tool of the enemy. It is to get you to say you're not enough. You're not doing enough. And that's when I realized that Satan wants you in the past, and if he can't keep you in the past, beating you up with your sins from the past, he will get you projecting in the future, and it will never be a pretty picture.
Right.
It's always not enough. You'll just never get there. God wants you in the moment, and he wants you there, abiding in him at that moment.
And then you will bear much fruit.
But that was what's so funny when you said that, though. But you're right. It is grace. And it takes a constant, but it is a reminder of catching yourself going, okay, again, I'm trying to work my magic to cover some behavior thing I did or said.
But it's learning that none of my bad stuff is he counting against me. Nor any of my good stuff does he need to say, oh, now we can let her in. You know what I mean? It's just none of that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's this idea that people have that they could change God's love for you no matter what we do. God's love is the same. Yes. You choose how close you are to God. So it's like if you allow it to live in the past, it's like that is, like you said, just like the screw-taped letters, like it's like one step removed. And I think that there's this idea, especially when people start talking about works and grace and all those kinds of things, like God's love is infinite for us no matter what. And I think people don't see it like, here's God, this all loving, isn't going to move, and you get to choose kind of this space you're in. Where,
like he's always waiting for us.
Yeah. It's like
this Luke 15, the dad.
But you see it in both. Like you see it in fire and brimstone. You've angered God. It's like, no, God is this unbelievable amount of love, and you choose your kind of, I heard it said one time, like this idea of heaven and hell, right? And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. It was, you have this idea of light, like the light's in here. You know what light is. I know what light is. We all agree on what light is, but how we perceive the light is how the light feels. So if it's 7 a.m. and you're a little tired, but you go out and you feel that warm sun on your face and it feels so warm, and you have a cup of coffee, and it's just like you stare at Tammy or you stare at your husband or I stare at Brent. It's like, I just want to be in this moment forever. It's so beautiful. But at 2 a.m. when you're in darkness and when you're asleep and you're detached from all those things you love and somebody flips the light on, the idea of light, the concept hasn't changed, but the light burns and you reject it. So it's like this, I love God so much and his light is so warm, but some days I move myself into the shadows. I let myself live into the past. And I heard this beautiful quote yesterday where it was like, it takes years and years to erase the memories from your past, from your mind, but it takes one tear for God. It's like one tear where,
Right.
I forgive you always. I forgive you. Like it's just, and you're just move on. And it's so hard because it's that screw tape letters, like you're saying, like I love waking up every day and knowing that I'm still a sinner. Like I still sin. God still loves me. I'm still a sinner. Lord Jesus Christ, forgive me for I'm a sinner. And you're just moving on and the Lord's Prayer and moving on. But it's still this, like, the days I don't think I'm a sinner, those are the scariest.
Oh, that I don't need you. Yeah, I got it now.
The days that I think I'm worthless and I fall into despair, those are the worst days.
Oh, man.
It's so hard. Sorry, I kind of...
Yeah, you lose sight. No, that was beautiful.
That was beautiful.
And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I call it the old nature.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
Paul talks about it all the time, dying to self. So that's an old tape. That's old nature.
Right.
Okay. You know, it doesn't make it feel any better,
No.
but at least intellectually, I don't have to descend and allow the
Spiral down
thoughts
with it.
to spiral into, that's it.
Yeah, once it slips into despair, I feel like that's when the devil gets me.
Yeah, that's when I journal and I go back into my prayer closet. I'm like, okay, Lord, we need to do this because this ain't right. This is not right, and this is not of you. And if you go back to what it seems to me that you see is the depth of his love for you, and that's when you have to, like you said, take all thoughts captive, replace those tapes, those old tapes, with what you know to be true. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am created in the image of God. I am beloved. He calls me chosen. He calls me redeemed. You have to start feeding yourself those old ones. The enemy's like, oh, he's insidious.
Yeah. So you're located in Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
So like all of us this week, you spent a lot of time in your prayer closet during the storm, tornadoes.
It's funny, the Californian and I grew up with tornadoes. I grew up in the Midwest, so I used to sneak out of the basement in the middle of a storm to see it. I would go to my, and my father would grab me.
How that doesn't
My
surprise
father
me.
would grab me, banging my head downstairs. Get in the basement. So I wasn't home. I was out of town with her husband. We traveled together doing comedy.
So you were alone, and your wife was
and
alone.
Tammy was alone.
Yeah,
as well.
but we were texting each other and calling each other. It's like, you still alive over there? She's like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm in the basement with the dogs.
Yeah.
But it's so true. Like with the storm thing, the side note, I remember, this is so silly, when I moved here and I was still like super atheist California lady. I remember my first tornado season, 2020, during the pandemic. And I was like, no wonder these people believe in an angry God. This is crazy. It was wild.
Yeah.
And that was a bad one. That was right after the pandemic, we got the tornado.
Yeah, it was
Like
it
March 10th or something, 2020.
Yeah,
I
it was
remember
like,
I was golfing
Where?
at Montgomery Bell when a tornado hit downtown Nashville.
You were golfing?
I was, and I came home.
He had his
It's the
golf
only
club
time.
Antenna.
testing.
It's the only
Testing
time.
Benjamin Franklin's theory.
Only time since we gave our life to the Lord that Tammy punched me. Prior to that, she punched me a lot. But this one, I came home and she goes, "Where were you?" I says, "I was golfing with Lydia at Montgomery Bell." She had the TV on. She goes, "Look at downtown Nashville. It's destroyed." I go, "Oh, get a little breezy." I guess it hopped right over Dixon.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was like,
Wow.
yeah, it got dark and a little windy, and we're out there. And oddly enough, we're
And there were no
the only two
sirens
people on the
going-
golf course.
There were no sirens? going
Nothing.
on?
No, we don't.
Wow.
No, this is diction. We don't.
That's sirens.
The batteries haven't been changed in years. Our sirens.
They just have, oh, you didn't hear Larry yelling from the truck? He
Yeah.
was driving around.
Yeah, that was so. I mean, it really was odd. It was like I got home and go, well, maybe I should pay more attention. I don't know.
punched you.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have a question to bring it back to something you said earlier, if that's okay. You're talking about your parents splitting up and kind of being moved from one place to the other. This might make me cry, so buckle up. I had kind of a similar thing. My dad was a single dad. He did the best he could. My mom, bless her heart, lives in Arkansas. And the joke I made earlier, Mom, I don't want you to die. I don't want that to be a movie line. I gotta repent for that before, if she ever hears this. But I feel like God fulfilled such an emptiness. This is going to make me cry. And I want to know if you feel the same way. Fulfilled such an emptiness in me because I was shuffled around at that young age. And it was like, if I acted up a little bit or if I did anything, it was like, she's too much and I'll ship her to someone else, or just kind of that. Did you ever feel like I felt such a redemption because it didn't matter what I did, God was still chasing after me? And I felt like my parents, like, I didn't want to be moved from one to the other. I just wanted, like, the parent I had to be like, oh, it doesn't matter what happens. I need you here every single day because I love you and I'm never going to abandon you and I'm never going to leave you. Did you have any of that dynamic?
No, they were just
shipping you.
They were just shipping me because they were just not mature enough to deal with their stuff. And I can say that now because the Lord redeemed both of them. My dad became a pastor.
I thought you were going to say because the Lord took them.
No, because he took them.
Finally, my answer to my prayer.
No, I mean,
you deal with them.
Were they young when they had you?
Yes, they were young. They were, I mean, like, yeah, they got married young, et cetera. And they were just too young to have kids. And they, honestly, I think they were doing the best they can, but they were not capable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, me neither.
I
wasn't.
Dad, I mean, my dad came to know the Lord when I was in college, and my mom came to know the Lord when my second child was born, and they became radically different human beings.
Well, that's
right. I mean, my dad, just so you know, maybe I get some of my craziness from my dad, but he was a salesman. He was a top salesman. He could win anything. He won every award there was, but he also had a gambling, drinking problem. So whatever he won, by the end of the weekend, it was gone. He had lost it in a bet. So that was part of their divorce, his drinking and gambling and all that kind of stuff. But when he became a follower of Christ, it was, I'm talking like not just the Damascus Road encounter with Paul. I mean, my dad became radically different. As passionate as he was about pursuing the things of the world, he became passionate and telling people about Christ. I mean, wow. You know, he would go door to door. This is before he became a pastor, door to door, telling people about Jesus. They'd slam the door in his face. They'd spit on him.
He went from vacuums to Jesus.
No, he went from he was Coca-Cola. But anyway, and RC, and all that kind of stuff. Anyway. But Pepsi. Sorry, it was Pepsi and RC.
Oh, there's going to be.
But he was also moonlighting at night as an Elvis Presley impersonator. I mean, he looked exactly like Elvis Presley.
Oh my gosh!
And
why did we get an hour into this? And this is we're just
coming home now.
Yes,
you had an Elvis impersonator for a father.
Was a pastor?
Yes.
Oh my God!
No, before he became a pastor. When he became a pastor, he was still singing. He only sung Elvis gospel songs.
Okay.
I was the only kid who knew every Elvis Presley song and movie. I was the only kid who did.
One of the best lines in movies was Garden State, where I don't know what the context of the scene was. All they said, wouldn't it be cool if Elvis was alive and living in Las Vegas as an Elvis impersonator? Wouldn't it be great to parody your own life?
Yeah.
So I had this image of, fat Elvis, because now you can really let yourself go singing and going, you're not the king.
You're not sounding like him. We're looking like him.
Yeah. Oh my God. Did he have the mutton chops, the sideburns, or did he glue them on? Did he glue them on? Or
No. He
oh my gosh.
Wait, for listeners, can we put together the pictures of your dad as Elvis and you doing football?
Definitely.
Yes.
So yes.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
We'll talk to Joseph about
that.
Yeah. It'd be great.
But when he met Christ, he did have a Damascus Road encounter. I mean, if I could write a book about my dad.
It was in Memphis.
Yeah.
He got burnt up in a fire. My dad did. And he was in the hospital for a couple months. And he's the one who called me when I was in college and said, the Lord's spoken to me and told me I need to read the Bible. Would you commit to read with me every day? God's word. And I was living then, I graduated. I said, yes, of course, because I was a Christian, but still, it was not where God would have me be. But I moved to New York City, and he would call me at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, all ridiculous times for a couple of years. Say, what are you doing? I say, I'm sleeping. He said, well, you can sleep later. Get up out of bed. Now flip over to Ezekiel. Now go back to Daniel. Now I want you to go to the book of Revelation. We did this for years, and it changed the trajectory of his life, and it changed the trajectory of mine.
And your mom, so with your mom, they were separated.
They were
so
separated.
They had two different.
My mom could not believe he changed. She would not have anything to do with him.
Right.
And when I would tell her...
Those run deep, don't they?
Oh, yeah. So when I told her he had changed, she did not believe me. She wanted nothing to do with it or to hear about it until after my second child was born. And she came to know the Lord and began teaching women's Bible studies in my church. So I'm saying God redeems. I could go on and on about how he redeems, but...
Oh my gosh, I love that. I've watched in real time. I'm watching that happen with my dad right now. Yeah, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's so the things that come out of his mouth, and it's like people. You hear a lot of lip service, like your mom thought, like, yeah, has he changed?
Yeah,
and then the way he treats my son, like everything. He's a completely different person in Christ than he.
Yeah, my father dug his heels, and it was an interesting story. My father's, my uncle Ken, my dad's brother, was an accident, 8 years, 9 years, baby. Mm-hmm. So he was a pastor. My dad's brother was a pastor. As a matter of fact, that whole side of the family, very faith-oriented. We were not, because my dad was an atheist. So anyway, my mother was dying from ovarian cancer. And Kenny's telling me the story. He said, I haven't seen my brother decades. So I get a call to go to Tucson, Arizona, where your dad is living with your mom, and for something pastoral. So I'm thinking maybe this is the time God is calling me into my brother's life to share the gospel.
Right.
So he said, we're sitting in the living room watching something on television. Your mom's exhausted. She was going through chemo. She was exhausted. So she gets up and says, Jack, I'm going to bed. Now the two brothers are in the living room. There's this quiet moment.
This is you and your brother?
No, my dad and his brother.
Dad and his brother.
My dad's 70 whatever years old.
Okay.
Kenny's in his 60s. Anyway, again, Kenny's telling me the story. He says it's very quiet. We're sitting there, and I feel the prompting of the Spirit to share with your dad. I want him to make a commitment. And he says, Jack, and my father goes, grab it, Kenny. He was waiting for his brother to share the gospel. And it made me laugh because I know my father. I mean, my mother, when she was dying, we were in hospice. And I said to her sister, do we need to pray for Mom? She goes, no, your mother's always been fine with the Lord. Always. It explained a lot because Mom was like this calm in this storm of all these wild men around her. But yeah, it was funny because she never stood up to my father, ever. Right. And we were praying with her, and my dad walks in and sees us all praying with Mom, and he goes, oh. And she goes, get out of here. This is for me.
What? She stood up. She stood up.
Mom, hey, you got it, baby. That's great. But I never got a chance to see her. And I came at 40. The most profound decision I ever made in my life was this commitment to Christ. And not once did my father ever ask me why. I kept waiting for that, and I carry that guilt with me, had I. But then after my uncle told me the story, I said he wouldn't have listened anyway. But never bothered, I'm his son. Why? I don't get it. I don't understand it. My favorite thing my father used to do was mock scripture. And he would always say, every hair on your head is numbered. I go, it is. Leave it at a crime scene. Our DNA is all coded. It's all numbered, Dad. Every last bit of it is numbered. And you think that's an accident from the blind universe. Just put all that together, because of enough time. But I'm so glad to hear that. And then the fact that your parents not even living together, both of them.
Yeah.
God will get you where you're at, and all different stories. And that's one of the things I want to say to our listeners. We all have a story, and we are expected to share it. And
he's still writing it. Like when you would, in your own flesh, be tempted to write somebody off, there's no way, God is still writing their story.
Absolutely.
That's a good thing.
So what's going on with you going forward outside of my 7 grandmas?
I don't know. We have another project we're working on. I was talking with Abby about that, and see if it goes with that. And it's just honestly right now, it's a little here, a little there. I've done some really wacky things. I do some crazy commercials in Atlanta, and I do a web series here that people are like, "Goodness, is that comedic or is it dramatic? I'm like, no, that's melodramatic. Well, I mean, it's really big and stuff. But anyway, it's just like, well, all I am is like, and I'm doing audiobooks and things like that. But mostly it's just like, Lord, here I am. I'm opening my hands. Wherever you want to use me, wherever you want to take me, may I be.
Now, are your kids in the arts?
Be found faithful. No, praise God.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Neither one of my boys wanted anything to do with what I do.
I took them to see plays and musicals and artwork, and they all have an extreme appreciation for the arts. Yeah. But I never encouraged any of them. I mean, my parents, my mom and my grandmother, they all tried to discourage me. No, like, what are you wasting your time with? I mean, you know, funny story. Like my mom was so embarrassed that I was doing that. She was like, why? Why? Like, you have a college education. Why would you waste it on that type of thing? And when I was working in New York City, I was doing theater there. Some friend of hers was asking about something, and she goes, oh, yeah, she's in New York, and she's doing this and this and this. And then my mom was saying how atrocious this was. And the friend to her said, is she happy? And she goes, yes, she's happy. She loves it. And then the friend said, and I think you should be happy for her.
Right.
My mom told me that story. The fact that my mom would tell me that story was that she was softening.
That was her way of telling you that she's going to try.
Yeah.
I had a great story about remember Chariots of Fire?
Yeah, Eric Little.
Yeah, and the guy ran. He did not run in an orthodox way.
Right.
But he got to the Olympics with this unorthodox style, and he was going to be a missionary. And one of the lines in the movie, it was, I'm getting goosebumps.
Love that
thinking about it. Yeah, and I did a 5K on that beach when Tammy and I went to Scotland. They had a 5K run on the beach. And I had some squatty little woman run past me, and I told this guy I was running with, she's not beating me to the house. I could not catch that little bowling ball.
But that's not part of the Eric Little story.
That's not part of the Eric Little story. That's the Jeff Allen. But anyway,
Allen without humility.
But his sister.
What Jeff Allen was behind the bowling ball. Do. But
he was going to be a missionary, and his sister, because he was spending so much time running and training for the Olympics, she thought he was losing his sight on the prize of the mission work. And he said, understand this. I am made for the mission field. God made me for the mission field, but he also made me fast. And when I run, I feel his pleasure.
Yeah, I love it.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
So when we do what we do, I feel
Amen.
his pleasure. And when you do all that, you feel his pleasure. Yeah. And that's when you know when it's not difficult to do, even though it's the travel, all the things that go around what we do, fatigue and whatever. But when I'm actually doing the work, I feel his pleasure.
I love it.
People have said to me, you really look like you enjoy what you do. I said, I hope so, because I really enjoy what I do.
And it makes a difference because they can feel that, that it's not drudgery for you, that this is something you were created for it.
Yeah.
And that you're walking in obedience and doing what he's called you to do. There's that, the parable of the talents, and he gives the 5 and the 10, the 5 and the 1, and he gives us those gifts not so that we bury them, but so that we use them.
Right.
Because there's people that's going to come see your stand-up comedy show that may never step foot in a church. Or they're going to pick up your book because they love your comedy, and then they're going to that's why we are, a friend of mine who has a talk show, she said, God has a harvest with your name on it.
Oh, I like that.
And it's different. You're going to meet so many people that I will never encounter, and likewise. And it's just, if you are doing what God has made you to do and doing it with joy and with excellence, I think that's another thing. In the Christian, when I was first, in New York City, I thought, okay, God, you don't want me to do this movie, which I said no to. And I said, well, where's this kind of stuff being done? That's how I saw some of Max McLean's things, but there was nothing else being done. And then I saw something that was done really poorly, and they said, but we're doing it for God. And I just about lost it. I'm like, you're doing it for the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And you're like, oh, we can do shoddy work because we're doing it for God. No. I mean, it needs to be with excellence because we're working for God.
Well, Bob Reiner, have you read Bob Reiner's
I
book?
hope that was her movie review.
Bob Reiner wrote a book called Roaring Lambs, and that was the premise of the book. Stop complaining about the culture, but if you're going to go into the culture and put his name on it,
do with excellence.
then you have to write. If you hate, write great editorials, write great books, write great plays.
Yes.
And my pastor, when I first moved to Nashville, it was very funny because big church, right? Tammy and I hid. That's what I love about the mega church. You can just hide. So we hid for years. So anyway, I get a call from his secretary. Pastor Scotty wants to talk to you. I was even know I'm alive. I mean,
it's the principal of it.
Exactly. All the trauma came back. She's going to whack me. I got his up. No, I didn't. But if she assumed, what are you doing? I said, you're going to hit me, right? So anyway, he sat me down and he said, I understand you're a comedian. I go, I am. And he said, I understand you are now in the Christian marketplace, moving from the secular to the Christian. And I said, that's the plan, I think. And he said, well, here's what God expects from you. And he laid into me he said, I got so many Christian artists in my congregation that just get lazy. They get into this marketplace, the audiences are good, the money's good, they got all this stuff. They stop creating, they stop doing what got them there. They just quit and they just coast through. And he said, God expects your best. He expects the excellent, that he's put you in these positions to do excellent work and to not stop creating and to not stop. So anyway, I'm not lying to you. 2 or 3 years later, I'm in a pen and I'm working and it hits me. I have been coasting for like a year and a half. In the middle of my set, I got this thing going. I stop in the middle of my show and I tell the audience, I have to apologize. I owe you an apology. And I told the story. And I said, to be honest with you, I've been phoning it in for about 18 months now. And you don't know that.
No,
I said, I have just been convicted. And I have just phoning it in
the middle of your
I know. Well, again, it's the awkwardness of the audience. Is I think he's going to lose this. Is he going to, I've had those moments on stage where I would break off and start, and you get. I remember before I became a believer, I was sitting in a hockey rink. Everybody was doing comedy back, in the 80s, and I'm sitting.
Wait, as a comedian, to hear I was doing comedy in a hockey rink, immediately I'm like,
yeah. Well, everybody had a room. So anyway, I'm sitting on a stool, and I can't work. I just can't go anywhere. And I sit there and I go, why are we here? And it's like 400 people, dead quiet, because they don't know, is this guy going to
right, lose it right here?
Right here. And then after 10 seconds of really awkward, dead silence, some little squeaky voice in the back goes, we just want to hear some jokes. And I said, that's legit. It's a comedy club. And it got me out of it.
Right.
But that's kind of, the way I've worked is just all of a sudden, but that moment of conviction of the conversation. Now, listen, I'm sure the pastor wasn't looking forward to the conversation he had with me. But somewhere he got convicted to go, I got this comedian and I am so sick and tired of these Christian artists phoning it in, getting lazy, and doing shoddy work. I'm going to at least grab this one while I got a chance and sit him down.
That the Lord placed that upon his heart to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not at the situation of that place in my life where I can do shoddy work. There's not big bucks rolling in anywhere, just so you know. Yeah. But I count it a privilege that we get to do what we do. I count it a joy.
I also think if you don't know how to do it with conviction and with the right heart on God, that it's okay to say no. And it's hard for people, especially when you're early in the arts and financially it's so difficult. Like you saying no to that role was like such a pivotal moment, like you were saying, because it's scary. And I don't know if this happens to you, but like I think of some pretty great, hilarious, super disgusting jokes all day long.
Right, that's what. Yeah.
This would be real fun to say right now.
Yeah, if I was held accountable for the things, and that's why I worry about these thought crimes. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, sometimes I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, but I think a lot of us creatives do, like that weird between sleep, between awake. The heathens would say meditation. No, kidding. But this, like, that's kind of where most of my creative ideas come. There's no phone. There's nothing coming in. I'm not asleep. I'm not awake, but I'm kind of there. And I had this idea for a joke yesterday morning, and I was like, "That be from God." And I kept trying to like make it be like, this will be a hit, and just like, and I was like, you know what? It's not, but it's that excitement, because the creative process is so exciting. I have this little bit of a premise, and then I'm going to work it like this, and then this is how I'm going to present it, and it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to make people laugh, and they're going to love it. It's going to be so great. And then I'm like, this will just completely cause people to stumble in their mind and take them one step from God. So I get really convicted of that. Yeah, especially with, I'm political stuff, not going too deep into that, because I don't want people to have joy on putting the other side down. It's such a touchy place to be, because it's so funny and it's so easy.
Well, that's
low fruit. Was it
low-hanging fruit? Yeah. Well, that's it too. And I was talking to someone the other day about that. They said, you don't do politics. And I said, I do if there's a joke and I can eat lunch with the person the next day.
That's good.
It was like when I put the book together, they wanted all this salacious stuff about my parents. And I said, no. I said, if they were alive, I know they're not. I was certainly not going to throw them under the bus.
Right.
And I said, they, like we talked about, they did the best they could. I mean, believe me, I hope my children extend me the same grace that I will extend my parents. And it wasn't until I became a parent that I lightened up a lot on my parents. Yeah. Because I started looking at my own shortcomings, like, holy cow, this is not an easy gig. Right. And there's no stopping. I remember telling Tammy, wouldn't it be great if we could just hit a pause button and just take a month of classes on how to raise these things? It's just your life keeps going.
The pause button, that's such a funny concept.
But every day. It's funny
for a couple months.
But listen to it. When I was in recovery, I went back after 5 years. I went back to my old neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I remember telling my sponsor, I go, holy cow, I spent 8 minutes and left. We were at my sister's house, and I said, it was Tuesday. And I said to Tammy, I'm going to the bowling alley in the village. And she said, what's up there? I go, my friends. She goes, have you called? I go, I don't need to call. It's Tuesday. They bowl every Tuesday. That's my neighbor. I mean, that's what they do. Sure enough, I walk in. All these people I have not seen in years. Hey. I mean, it wasn't like, where you been? It was just, so I talked to my sponsor that. I go, it was surreal. And he goes, understand this. You're in recovery. Remember those movies where you snap and the scene freezes?
Right.
They've been frozen. They're still in their addictions. They're still in their whatever. You've been moving. So that actor that moves through the scene while everybody's frozen, you've been moving through life.
Great visual.
Yeah, it was. And you come back and now you look and you go, holy cow, I'm so moved past this. Wow. It was uncomfortable. And again, I love these guys. I grew up with these guys. Right. But it was like, holy cow, it's the same conversations, the same, league, this, And so anyway, I never once after that looked back and said, well, I need to get connected with these
God
people.
gave you that as a gift.
Well, it was. I needed to see that. I needed to go back, because there was this part of me going, I miss these guys. I miss this life that I had.
Yeah.
And then you realize, I haven't. I mean, it's... Wow. Yeah, there's a certain maturity.
I love, though, the visual of you moving through that, like they're in a freeze frame and you're doing that.
Yeah, for a decade.
There's been so many friends and relationships, family and stuff, that it feels like that's the point. That's the visual for I've outgrown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So difficult.
Yeah, it's not like I'm here. I think it was a maturing thing. They say when you say, they meaning, that's when my granddaughter asked me what my pronoun was. I said they, because they know everything. So I am they. I'm the all.
That's it. Got it.
Papa.
Yeah.
So
you are the non-binary king.
Right. But they say that when an alcoholic starts drinking, that's where he remains emotional. So I started at 13. So
wow. Yeah.
I got married
to a 23-year-old.
Yeah, I got married at 30, and I got sober at 31. So she was married to a 13-year-old at 31 years old. And it made sense to me because of the physical changes that we're going through.
Right. The fact that
so now these guys are still stuck in their teens, this lifestyle. And
have you ever gotten a call from any of them that they've come out?
I've had some people come out to the shows.
No.
Oh.
Come out of where they're stuck and say, oh, now they can reach out to you now and say, no, I get it. Any of those?
No,
friends?
not at all. And I have two friends that I grew up with that I've remained in touch with all these years. And it's funny because we won't talk for 8, 9, 10 months or whatever, and we just pick up right where we left off.
But they know you're a believer and they're not.
Right. Oh yeah, nobody's ever asked me about that.
None of them. Wow. Yeah. That's interesting. You would think they would there's something different about you.
Well, I'm not around them anymore.
If they
for them to even see
your
it.
shows.
Well, some of them have. Yeah.
They would know.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard that. They had talked. Jeff got Jesus. Jeff got Jesus. Yeah, that whole Jesus thing. You hear those.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I had a drunk friend of mine. He said, I tried that AA thing. It didn't take. And he's no longer with us. Sad. Sad. Well, when you get to a certain age, Well, if Alan King, one of the best comedy routines you'll ever hear, and I say this with all due respect to Alan King, it's probably one of the best comedy routines ever written, called Survived by His Wife. And he stood on stage in Las Vegas and read obituaries from the newspaper. And to the point it got so absurd where some woman tried to kill herself. She jumped off, landed on her husband. He died, she lived. And the obituary said, survived by his wife. All the men are dead. All the men are dead. That's what he did. It's classic. It's on YouTube. One of the best routines ever. Yeah.
About the friend that kept drinking, though, we should wrap this up. Sadly, I don't want you to go. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this means anything, but when you're like, I want something, a big project that I can really sink my teeth into, I don't feel like I'm on our podcast. I feel like I'm on your podcast. Like, I just want to listen to everything you say. So I don't know if you would ever be interested in doing, but the way you speak, the way you've changed my heart and my thoughts on so many things, especially around Christ in my life and growing up and being in entertainment and being a Christian, that I don't know if you would ever want to sink your teeth into being some sort of podcaster or author, but I really just appreciate you being here, and I've really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
If anybody listens to this or not, to me, the time just spent with you is valuable to me. I treasure it.
Well, that's great.
And where you were saying in those between the sleeping and waking, where you're having those things and creating, that's the difference though between us. Though, see, you are creating the gift that God has given me is hopefully to take what you created and bring it to life.
Yeah. That's so
true. Y'all can do your own stuff, but what other people have written, that's the thing. Yeah. So I'm honored that you would say that, but to me, the blessing is just having this time with you both.
I don't want to sound cheesy, but you're an A-lister to me. You are. We're so grateful you're here. We're
That's
so
great.
World to me.
Yeah. If you guys are okay with it, I think we should probably wrap up.
We have to wrap it up. Yeah. Just we have another one coming in.
All right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And anyway, subscribe, right?
Yeah. Like and subscribe.
And download it. Just download. You don't even have to watch it. Just download it. Of course, if they're listening to this, they've watched it.
Yeah.
But download it and share it. That's how they work these algorithms. And if you liked what you heard, there's going to be plenty more.
Yeah. And if you didn't like it, leave it in the comments. Leave it in all of the comments because it drives up the algorithm. So let us know how much you don't like us. We would appreciate
or what you didn't like.
That's the beauty of the internet.
This is supposed to be two comedians and you brought that very serious girl in there. Just shouting it out.
It's so beautiful. Wow. We love you all. God bless you. Thank you so much for being here. Today's podcast is brought to you by my good friends at Innovative Dental. Don't look too close to my teeth because I kind of just had lunch. But if you look at my old videos and my new videos, my teeth are totally straight now. And you're like, Carollynn, you live in Nashville, Tennessee. Why'd you go all the way to Springfield, Missouri? Because there is one great, amazing dentist, Dr. Olson. I mean, I only needed braces, but they do full cosmetic dentistry. And when you go there, you get your own room, like your own private room to get a bunch of dental work. Honestly, I almost wish my teeth were more messed up just to hang out in the fancy I need a lot of dental work room. So go to idspringfield.com for the greatest dental work you'll ever get.